Hey, what's up, guys? It's our RPG player, and today I got something very special, the Dandan Secret Lair. Yes, I was one of the fortunate few who got in there. I mean, I woke up early, got on the queue as soon as I could, and I got it, which is, yeah, great for me. But unfortunately, this deck has had a long story in history, like the Secret Lair. So I'm gonna open it and I'm gonna talk about it. Well, one of the first things is that when this product was announced, Nick Floyd, who was the creator of this format and many other formats I've read some of his ideas, y'all should definitely check out because he's made incredible formats, super fun. And this is his most popular one, the one that's very well known. Um, but yeah, um, is ooh, look at the box. Oh, this is such a cool box. Oh, it's definitely staying in this. It's like a side loader. It has life wheels of the Dandan. Oh, this is so cool. And it has a pamphlet to it as well. I think this is an art for memory lapse. Dandan, the frightful fish. And it's how to play Dandan, which I know how. I've read up. As soon as I read up on this format CPU play, I was like, wow, this is so cool. And this is really fun. Like, this seems so cool. But yeah. So, well, first thing, yeah, was the creator originally wasn't even involved in it, wasn't credited, wasn't nothing. Um, But then later that changed, and he was on the team. And I think many people thought that meant we could actually get this in the hands of other people, of like everyone who wanted it. But no, of course, the secret layer marketing, the secret layer tactic, was no just limited supply run. So if you couldn't get it, too bad. Now you got to deal with resellers, and there's so much controversy over that. And especially thing is, some people were saying that it was priced too low. This price is about $100, 99.99 MSRP. That's what it was priced at. Um, and people were like, that's why because it was too cheap. So many people who would even scout bought like two copies of this because they wanted it. I only bought the one. I'm planning to play this with my friends. That's what I want to do. That's why I wanted to get this. Because I think it was a really great alternative. Like $100, yeah, it is a really good deal. Like to make a Dandan deck is about that much, and there's so many goodies in here that we'll go over. So we have first of all our 10 copies of Dandan. This is the namesake of the format, or the forgetful fish. This is the fish. It's a 4/1 with the ability people have dubbed Island Home, which is when this creature can't attack unless the defending player controls an island, and when you control no island, sacrifice this creature. So it cares about islands. Can only attack people with islands. It can only you can only have it if you have an island. So yeah, this is the main thing. So basically, Nick Floyd, his thing was because he didn't have enough cards for two decks, so instead he built a deck to play with someone just for both of them. And then he discovered the card, which we'll talk about later, the forgetful part. Um, so this is the staple of Dandan, any deck. There's so many different variations, the original variation, tons of different variation, tempo variations. This is the one that he then 4 copies of accumulated knowledge. There's usually only 2 copies of every other card except 3 exceptions, which is as technically the islands, Dan, memory lapse, just an important card, and the accumulated knowledge, which usually run 4 of. There's also a sorcery speed version to this, which people do, kind of like change like the powers and stuff. But basically, it's a 2 mana spell that draws you a card, and then will draw you an additional card for each of these that are in the graveyard. And then you share a library and a graveyard. So if someone plays this, you can also play an accumulated knowledge, and you'll draw more cards. So it's usually 4 of these in the deck. Magical Hack is a very important card as well. Change the text of target spell or permanent by replacing all instances of one basic land type with another. Since Dandan requires you to control an island, you can change that word island to say mountain, and now your opponent doesn't control mountains, so they'll sacrifice the Dandan. That's it's a way to remove Dandan. There's a lot of cool like interactions with this, and the main, probably the most important card, really, even though Dandan Snakes, is 8 copies of Memory Lapse, which is 2 mana, counter target spell. If the spell is kind of this way, put on top of its owner's library instead of a graveyard. So the Nick Floyd discovered when playing this, he had memory lapse in the deck, is that he countered his someone's spell and then went on top of the library, which means he would draw next turn since they're sharing a deck, and this is where the whole inspiration for this came from. So yeah, um, Mystic Sanctuary is island that can enter tap unless you control 3 more islands. And when this enters untap, you may put target insert sources from your graveyard on top of the library. So again, putting things on top of the library. So the whole name of the game is just manipulation of the top of the library, controlling that, getting value plays, just outvaluing your opponent. It's just a whole blue mage battle. It's really fun. Then we have all these islands, these beautiful islands. So gorgeous. So these, I guess, the special cards. Now this is more like in reprinted style. So we have 2 brainstorms. Already normally great card, but especially in Dandan, brainstorm is amazing because you draw 3, put 2 on top, which means you control what your opponent will draw next, and then what you're gonna draw. So like, yeah, you can just draw 3 cards and put something that's not relevant or a land back on top, and they're gonna draw it next turn. So brainstorm already great card, but in this format, particularly amazing. Then we have a card that's very chaste and not in the original list, but it's very interesting that's here. I don't know if I'm going to keep it. I think I'm going to modify the Dandan list just because there's a lot of things that could change. And I feel like this card should be in here, which is the Capture of Jingozu, I think. Right, not pronouncing it right. Just 5 mana, take an extra turn at this one. Definitely not in the original Dandan list, but it's a great reprint, so welcome to have it. 2 copies of it. So yeah, great card. We have 2 Charter Course, which is draw 2 cards. Then discard card unless you attack over creature. This wasn't the original list. This is now kind of more up to lines with the tempo versions of Dandan. They have the Charter Course, other stuff like that. Because complaints with the original Dandan, like playstyle and format, was just that people thought it was too like passive, too controlling, especially if there's a certain card that is, I think, in like the extras, is not actually part of the deck list, but it's here. That basically people think it was like too passive, not enough action going on. You're just holding up your stuff. So people decided to alter the variation to be more tempo oriented, making you want to go out and swing and get benefits. Control Magic, 4 mana. This is also not in the original list, but I think it's not that bad. Just you control a enchanted creature, just 4 mana to basically steal their creature. So yeah, pretty nice. Crystal Spray, again, it's another change text, so it can kill a Dandan and it draws you a card. So it's pretty good. So get into something on top that you want to draw. You can also kill a Dandan along the way. So I guess it's free to fully change the text of target spell or permanent by replacing an instance of one color word with another, or one basic land type with another one. We have Days Undoing. I think this is a replacement for Diminishing Returns. This was the card that was in the original Dandan list, which would make you shuffle. Each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into the library, draw 7. If it's your turn, end the turn. So originally Diminishing Returns, I think it's 5 mana, does that, but also then after exiles 10 cards and doesn't make you end the turn. Exiles 10 cards from the top of the library and doesn't make you end the turn. So yeah, I guess yeah they wanted to change that. So it's a mental note. Mill 2, draw cards again. So let's say your opponent wants to draw. There's a card that knows on top that your opponent's going to draw. You can make them mill. Metamorphosis is another staple card classic. Put target permanent and opponent controls on top of its owner's library. That opponent may put an artifact, creature, enchantment, or land from their hand onto the battlefield. So you basically take some on someone else's board, put it on top of their deck. They get to put something in, but that means you're going to draw it. So you can just do a Dandan, and maybe they don't have a Dandan in hand, and then you just get to draw the Dandan next. So that's really good. Predict's another classic. Choose a card name that then target player mills a card if the card with the chosen name is milled. This way you draw 2 cards, otherwise you draw a card. So if you know what's on top, you can name it, and the opponent might try to stop you by like doing maybe like a mental note or something. So there's just so many, you can see already like all these interactions, like it's so cool. Telling Time, Look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, one on top of your library, one on the bottom. Again, just more manipulation and filtering for the top. Substantiate, return target spell or creature to its owner's hand. So it can kind of be a pseudo counter spell plus bounce a creature. And then we have some extra lands. We have Elmar Depths, which enters tapped, and when it enters, look at the top 3 cards, put them back in any order. So again, more manipulation. Then we have Haunted Fengraf. I don't think this was in the original list for that. Taps for colors, and you can pick 3 and tap it. Return this land, sacrifice this land, return a creature card at random from your graveyard to your hand. So I guess let you buy it back at Dandan. That's a little interesting. Yeah, there's some interesting choices. They changed up the list a lot. It's definitely some cards that you've not seen before in another Dandan list. Then we have Lonely Sandbar and Remote Island or Isle. These both cycle. This Lonely Sandbar cycles for 1 blue. Remote Isle cycles for 2. But basically, it's a way on the land, so it can't be interacted with really by counterspells and stuff to draw a card to stop someone from drawing a card. Then we have Surgical Bay, Sphere, enters tap, 1 in blue, sack the slain, draw a card. So again, also very different from the list that definitely wasn't there. So that's a newer card. Pretty sure yeah, that's from Allaby one, or I think something like that. Selenium Temple enters tap, and taps for blue, and you can sack it to add 2 blue. So I guess if you really want to get that there early, you can play this turn 1 to get a Dandan out there. And then we have, I think this is a special card. I don't think it's actually part of the list, and I'm not gonna have it because I think this card is too powerful and too strong. Vision Charm. This, especially when this is in the original list, and many people have cut it because it is so strong and so oppressive, and it makes it so you can't commit more than 1 Dandan to the board really, because the format's so all about card advantage. What it does, it's a modal card. It's a charm, so it has 3 modes. Choose one. Target player mills 4 cards. Already, that's a great mode to stop people from, if you want to mess with the top of the library. Someone's trying to draw a card or do something. You mill the cards. They can't do anything. Well, you mess them up. Bottom one is target artifact phases out. That is not relevant at all. But the main thing is choose a land type and a basic land. Each land of the first chosen type becomes the second chosen type until end of turn. So this is a board wipe. It's a Wrath of God. 1 blue, instant speed. Because you change. All Dandan type, you change. Because all the other ones change the text on 1 Dandan to say, check for a forest or something. This turns all lands into like a plains or something. And then all Dandans are gone. This is a board wipe for a blue mana. And it's just too strong. 1 blue to instant speed wipe. It just means you can never commit a Dandan to the board, especially since there's ways to get stuff back. So one of the things that's so common in Dandan that I don't know why it's not here. No the red mana. I forgot what's called Mystic Retrieval, I think. And like, is it Boiler Works for it? That is one thing that I think that's pretty odd that's not included in here, because that's a pretty common part of Dandan. Like a pretty big part. But anyway, it's just too strong. Plus, it also, again, has the mode. If you don't want to wipe, usually you do wipe, but even in the small change, you could also this is never dead, because you can just say, okay, mill 4 cards if they're trying to draw something or do something. Like, it's just too strong for 1 blue mana. Like, yeah. But that was the deck. I think it's amazing. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. I'm just sad, that not everyone can experience it because they don't want to do, they don't want to print to demand anymore. I think it's so dumb. I think this is a great product. And I hate to be, okay, I can kind of see what people are saying about the price. Yeah, because people are saying, oh, well, yeah, now normal people just pick up 2 because it's just so automatic. You're like, yeah, why not pick up an extra one, maybe make a couple bucks off of it? Yeah, but still, it's the company's fault. They should print to demand this so everyone can get it. So I thought with Nick Floyd on board, I hoped that it wasn't going to be a normal, like, secret layer. But no, we now have to deal with the scarcity and everything, which is, yeah. And yeah, all the scalpers, yeah, now eBay's going for double. Like, just print to demand things. Like, it's so dumb. Like, you're just like with people saying like yeah, like the price should be more. We're just creating artificial like scarcity for this. And but the problem is at the end of the day, Wizards doesn't care because guess what? They got their money off of it. They don't care what the reception is. They got their money. Same thing. Like yeah, it's crazy. Like besides like Spider-Man, they consider Spider-Man a success because they sold their products to the stores. It doesn't matter if the stores were able to sell it all off and other people were happy. It doesn't matter to them. All that matters at the end of the day, they got their band. That's all that matters. And it sucks. It's sad. Like I really wish. I mean, I'm happy I picked up one, and yeah, that I'm able to play it. Because I think now I get if you want like the art, but like I just don't think like buying up the secondhand marker. I don't think it's really worth it, like at all. Like at this point, if you want to play, if you're buying this to play it, if you just want to play Dandan, proxy or buy. If you want to own the cards, just buy the singles. Especially if you buy the singles, you can probably make a way more better functional Dandan list. But I think at the price this is, and how convenient it is, this is an amazing start point. Like for me, I'm gonna use this as a start point for my Dandan. Like I definitely want to add these, the Boiler Works, the Mystic Retrieval. I definitely want to change a lot in this deck, and I'm still happy with all the pretty cards and art. But I definitely want to change it up. But yeah, like it sucks that that's how it is. I mean, again, fortunate I did. Sucks that a lot of people didn't get to have their experience. I wish this could have been a great gateway to the format. Like this, I think that's what this should have been. This is what this is. This should have been a great, good access point at $100 to get into the format. It's like have one to play with your friends. And no, it's just being as like a collector's item. That's how we're treating. Again, like what Richard Garfield said, we can treat this as a game first. Especially off like a fan made format that the creator wasn't originally included in. Originally was not included in this project. After all the reception, they did bring him on board, but still, like you can tell, this was really all just for the money. They don't care really about the format or the plays. They just wanted to get in on the opportunity of the popularity of this. So yeah, that's my whole thing. It's kind of a little bit ranty, but I know I understand the frustrations of people. That people that couldn't get this, I understand it. But I'm happy I got it, and I'm gonna be able to play with my friends soon. It's gonna be super fun. More positive note. So yeah, that was it. Hope you enjoyed. And average MG player out.